We want to appreciate the comments about the release or the delay of the 2024 GABECE examination result by the general public. That shows that people are interested in the welfare of their children. That shows that people are interested in education. We appreciate and applaud that recognition and concerned about the students' welfare in terms of their academic performance. However, I want to highlight again, as in the past, that the ministry does not have control over the conduct of the examinations in this country. Yes, GABECE is a national exam, meaning it could be decided by the country through the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. However, the conduct is entirely the responsibility of the West African Examination Council Office, Banjul. They are an independent body, yes, belonging to the member states, but they conduct these exams free, without duress or without fear or without influence by the ministry. So when they conduct the exams, we allow them take the necessary processes to ensure that the results that they release to the ministry is authentic and it is the right results for the students. Every child, every school has a right to query, to question their results when they are released. And as a ministry, we are very concerned and we want to ensure that work does its work without influence. So I want to just share with the public that the results were not delayed in any way because the ministry owes the West African Examination Council. No. The results were released to me on Monday the 30th, and that's when we released them by giving public notice that the ministry is now in receipt of the results and would make them public today as we are witnessing now. So I want to repeat again. The ministry only received the results on Monday, and we've indicated through the ministry's website that we are now in receipt and will make them public. Meanwhile, students have started receiving their results the Tuesday, the 1st of October, as soon as the tokens were sent to the schools. So I want to make that clarification before we proceed. It has nothing to do with areas and so on and so forth.
Kurang bisan wajang gama kurang bisan ya matrenelo iyan dem marong iyan den jay kai wai iyan dem marong suma iyan dem marong kai wai kurang bisan wajang gama mernala big wajal sumanje ke na se yo ya maton Iyan kilime na fonye bang Fan TV iyan kilime na fonye bang Fan TV iyan kilime na fonye bang.
We want to welcome each and every one of you, particularly our colleagues from the press. As you are aware, you are invited here today to discuss with you about the GABECE 2024 examination results, which were released sometime this week. But before going into business proper, can we observe a minute of silent prayer, please? Amen. PS, my colleagues from the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, members of the press, good morning to you all. We are gathered here today to discuss with the press about the 2024 grade 9, what we call the Gambia Basic Education Certificate Examination, GABECE, which was released few days ago, so that we are able to inform the Gambian public about the results. I mean, how well have we fared, what were the challenges, and what do we think is the way forward. We know that people have been anxiously waiting on these results. Alhamdulillah, thanks be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we finally got them. And today we want to share it with the public so that every Gambian will have accurate information, and that is why we invite the press. And I want to implore on each and every one of you, before you leave this house, make sure that you get it right. Any issue that you do not understand, please ask. You will be adequately informed of the results, so that when we broadcast or when we engage the general public, they will have first-hand information, which is very important, because information is power. And if you give out correct information, you have given people the power to challenge or to take people into account of what they have been doing. And as a ministry, we are known for being very open to engage our partners, particularly the parents and the teachers, about whatever we are doing. So on that note, I would want to welcome the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Louis Moses Bendy, to briefly make a statement and also give us the analysis of the results before we open the floor for questions and answers.
Like my colleague said, we want to appreciate the comments about the release or the delay of the 2024 GABECE examination result by the general public. That shows that people are interested in the welfare of their children. That shows that people are interested in education. We appreciate and applaud that recognition and concerned about the students' welfare in terms of their academic performance. However, I want to highlight again, as in the past, that the ministry does not have control over the conduct of the examinations in this country. Yes, GABECE is a national exam, meaning it could be decided by the country through the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. However, the conduct is entirely the responsibility of the West African Examination Council Office, Banjul. They are an independent body, yes, belonging to the member states, but they conduct these exams free, without duress or without fear or without influence by the ministry. So when they conduct the exams, we allow them take the necessary processes to ensure that the results that they release to the ministry is authentic and it is the right results for the students. Every child, every school has a right to query, to question their results when they are released. And as a ministry, we are very concerned, and we want to ensure that work does its work without influence. So I want to just share with the public that the results were not delayed in any way because the ministry owes the West African Examination Council. No. The results were released to me on Monday, the 2nd of October, and that's the 1st, is it? Or Monday the 30th? And that's when we released them by giving public notice that the ministry is now in receipt of the results and would make them public today as we are witnessing now. So I want to repeat again. The ministry only received the results on Monday, and we've indicated through the ministry's website that we are now in receipt and will make them public. Meanwhile, students have started receiving their results the Tuesday, the 1st of October, as soon as the tokens were sent to the schools. So I want to make that clarification before we proceed. It has nothing to do with areas and so on and so forth. Having said that, what we try to do as a ministry is also to look at the results, compare them against the previous years, and look at also the regional dynamics, meaning where are the results, the best results coming from? Which schools are they coming from? Which regions are they coming from? So that helps us in our endeavor to reinforce some of the improvements, some of the strategies, some of the engagements we are having across the country to see which of them do we need to reinforce or strengthen where it is required to be done so. We also look at gender. Which gender is performing? And what do we think is responsible or could be responsible for such performance? So that also informs us, and through us the government, on where and areas of investment. That's the way we look at our results and see what we have done as a ministry and what we need to do more. So we always look at regional dynamics because I understood that after the release of the WAS, there was need, or some people were interested in seeing the regional dynamics. We do analyze all the way to the regions as to the number of schools in the region that are doing well or doing slowly or not as expected, and what are the possible things so that it could help the ministry in its investment in those areas. So having said that, I want to use this medium also to say that on Tuesday the 8th, we shall also be having a meeting with the private sector. Private sector means our private school proprietors and owners. And later, when the results are being formally revealed to you, in my analysis going through the regions, I will tell you the reason or the rationale why we're inviting the private sector on Tuesday, the 8th of October, in this very place. So having said this with brief, I would now request that Director of Performance, you take us through the statement of results, and then we'll ask the IT to display the results on the screens so that we can all go through them and do little analysis on them to have a better understanding of this year's GABECE results.
Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, Deputy Permanent Secretaries, colleague directors, members of the press. It's a pleasure on behalf of the Honorable Minister overseeing the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education to present to you the statistics on the recently released Gambia Basic Education Certificate examinations. Briefly, we want to share with you the content ranging from the registration of students to the individual subject performance, and also trying to show the disparities in school performance that would be relevant to public view. In 2024, a total number of 30,419 candidates were registered for the GABECE examinations, of which the result of 29,936 candidates are processed and graded, and that represents 98.4% of the total candidates who registered for the exams. The marks of the remaining 483 candidates are currently outstanding due to either missing continuous assessment scores or other unresolved matters. However, the results for 12 candidates are still withheld by the West Africa Examinations Council. And thus, The number of candidates registered and sat to the GABECE exam by region and by gender for 2024 is hereby highlighted by region. And looking at region 1, you can see 7,596 of them registered, but actually, due to some absenteeism, you have 7,448 of them who sat to the exams. And similar to region 2, 14,419 were registered and 14,206 actually sat to the exams. The same thing in region 3, region 4, region 5, and region 6. Now, nationally, you can see that we have 29,936 students who were registered. 29,324 of them sat to the exams. And looking at the gender, side of it, you will see that the girls or the female formed 59.4% of the total number of students who actually sat to the exams. So you can already see that there is a disparity between the male and the female category in the number of students who sat to the exams. Now, basically, the table above, this is what it shows, that the number who sat to the exams were 29,324, and out of which 59.4% of them are female. Now, we want to also take you through the trend of candidates with aggregate 42 or lower, which is the best score or the desired score. And we are looking at that by region, as the Permanent Secretary rightly stated. So you can see that in region 1, the number of candidates with aggregate 42 and below is 3,843 of them. In region 2, you have 7,641, and region 3, 1,230. Region 4, you have 602 of them. Region 5, you have 877, and region 6, you have 568. Now, looking at the previous years, 2022 and 2023, you can see that the number of candidates registered for WAS has tremendously increased for all the regions. And thus, looking at the national total, we have 14,761 who actually got a score of aggregate 42 and below, which is the desired one. So the performance also tells, according to the registration of candidates, you can see that as the registration of candidates is increasing, you can see the performance trend also increasing. Thus, meaning we are responding to the population growth in terms of our enrollment, indicating that enrollment is increasing over time. Now, we also want to take you through the number of candidates with aggregate 42 by gender. And I know my lady colleagues would be interested in seeing this. Now, looking at the previous years, 2022, 2023, you can see the trend in numbers increasing, and also increasing in the number of students getting aggregate 42 and lower. And the same thing for the female as well. Looking at the girls in terms of numbers, in 2024, 9,041 of them got aggregate 42 and lower, while their male counterparts stand at 5,720 in terms of those with aggregate 42 and lower. And nationally, you can see that the percentage in terms of proportion, the male are 48.1% with aggregate 42 and lower, whilst the female are 51.9%, almost 52%, scoring aggregate 42 and lower. Nationally, you will see that 50.3% of the students were able to get aggregate 42 and lower, which is an impressive performance. Also, you will see that nationally, this indicator has increased in 2024 by 0.6%. 0.6 percentage points compared to 2023 and 2022. You might see 0.6 as small, but numerically, it is very significant. Now, we also want to look at the number of candidates with pass, at least passing one subject, and the number of candidates having credits. Looking at the previous years, 2022, 23, and 24, we are looking at the core subjects. And looking at English language, in 2022, the number of candidates who passed, only passed, were 13,662. And in 2023, the number slightly increased to 13,936. But in 2024, it has jumped from 13,000 to 15,086. And look at the mathematics as well, an impressive improvement as well, 10,239 in 2022, and went to 11,568, and then in 2024, it went to 13,047. So there is a constant increase in terms of the pass rate for English language and mathematics, and similarly with the science as well. And SES, you can see having the highest number. When you look at all the core subjects, you will see that mathematics is still lacking behind all the other core subjects, because the pass rate, the number of students passing mathematics is lower than all other core subjects. And similarly with the credit passes as well, in 2022 and 2024, you can see the difference. In 2024, there is an increase as well for English language, which was constant from 2022 to 24. The same thing for mathematics, 5,000, 6,000, then moving to 7,000. And science as well, 7,000, 8,000, moving to 9,000. And SES also from 11,000, took a slight drop to 9,000 in 2023, and then picked up again to 12,664 in 2024, which is also an impressive leap. You would also be interested to look at the trend of the distribution of students with aggregate 6 by gender. Cumulatively, those who obtain aggregate 6 by gender, you can see in 2022, 23, and 2024. In 2022, you had 13 male students and 18 female students, being a total of 31 students with aggregate 6. In 2023, it moved to 41, registering 18 boys and 23 girls. And in 2024, it nearly doubled for the male and doubled very well for the female. That is 32 boys got aggregate 6, 56 girls got aggregate 6, and 88, more than double of the number in 2023. Bravo to our teachers. Now, we will look at the public-private dimensions, the distribution of the same aggregate 6 by gender and by management. Of course, looking at the public schools, we have the boys with aggregate 6, 13. The girls are 20. Thus, there are 33 students in the public schools who got aggregate 6. And then for the private schools, you have 19 boys and 36 girls, thus totaling to 55. Therefore, you'd realize that the public schools forms 38% of the candidates with aggregate 6, whilst the private schools stands at 63% of the students with aggregate 6. Now, when you talk about the private schools, they also have identity, right? We want to take you through the number of students with aggregate 6 by center, each of the examination centers, which is by the schools, and also by gender. So you will see that in Gambia High School, Gambia Methodist Academy, they have 4 boys and 6 girls with aggregate 6, so they have 10. students with aggregate 6 out of the 88 students. Bravo to Methodist Academy. Anne-Marie Riviere is a private school also, two male students and 6 female students. That is eight students. St. Charles Luanga Upper Basic School, 1 male student, 5 female students, having 6. Redeemers International Upper Basic School, they have 6, 1 male and 5 females. Anne-Marie Javwe, 1 male, 5 female, making it 6. You also have Mansa Kolibojang Upper Basic School, 3 male, 2 female, having 5 students with aggregate 6. St. Teresa's Upper Basic, having 5 also. Abba Bilingual Upper Basic School, have 5 also. Charles Jow Memorial, have also 5. 4, sorry. Charles Jow Memorial, having 4, and all are male. St. Peter's Upper Basic School, they also have 4 candidates with aggregate 6. Presentation of Mary Basic Cycle School, they have 3, all female. Great Land Upper Basic School is a private school also. They have 2 and 1, making 3. Brickham Upper Basic School also have 2. Brickamaba Upper Basic School having 2 students with aggregate 6. New Covenant Upper Basic School also had 2. Sinchu Balia Upper Basic School having 2. Kambengo Upper Basic School is a private school. They also have 2. Brimawa Upper Basic School, they also have 2. SOS Hammond Minor Upper Basic School, they have 1. C4 Upper Basic School, also having 1. Brufut Upper Basic School. Jambur Basic Cycle School have 1. Yundum Barracks Upper Basic School also having 1. Kata Basic School, Basic Cycle School having also 1. Abuko Upper Basic School also have 1 student. Advanced Basic Cycle School also have 1 student. And the Strand Basic Cycle School having 1. Thus a total of 88 candidates with aggregate 1. Ndaos Comprehensive Upper Basic also having 1. Nemakunku Radville Upper Basic School also having 1. And Kabafita Upper Basic School having 1. So a total of 32 boys and 56 girls in total, making 88. But you will realize an interesting trend in terms of performance. We're using the traffic light signals to show green indicating an improvement in terms of scores by aggregate level. And looking at the scores between 2023 and 2024, you can see that the number of students or the percentage of students with aggregate 6 increased from 0.1 to 0.3. The 0.2 percentage point increment is as significant as the values had shown us previously. And the same thing with aggregate 7. But you will realize also it has moved for aggregate 8. Now, aggregate 9 also has improved from 1.3 to 1.9. And then the same thing, if you look at from aggregate 6 to aggregate 23, you can see that between 2023 and 2024, there had been a marked improvement. And that shows that the candidates who were scoring aggregate 24 and below has reduced in 2024 as compared to 2023. So that means there is a surge in performance positively. There is the performance of students is surging positively, and that is very impressive. And we hope this will continue to be the story we will tell. You can also see that in 2024, those performing low are still performing low in essence, because you will see that apart from the aggregate 42 and lower, you realize that 49.7% was the percentage in 2023, and it has moved to 50.3% in 2024. I've just got an upgraded version of the results here, which shows an improvement in all the categories from aggregate 6 to aggregate 42 has been a marked improvement in terms of the performance. And I think that's the most recent version of the results that we will be sharing with you in the public, showing that from aggregate 6 to aggregate 42 between 2023 and 2024, there has been an improvement in terms of the percentage of students who scores those various levels of grades. So basically, Permanent Secretary, I want to thank you for the opportunity, and I'll hand it over back to you.
It is important as a sector to see what we are doing, how we are doing what we are doing. And if you look at the percentages here, boys and girls, you realize that the boys are declining, but the girls are in increase. I'm sure some of you will appreciate and recall that some years ago there was some investment done in terms of campaign for girls' education across the country. It is now yielding dividend from what we are seeing. If you look at those figures on the screen, uh, the aggregates, yes, we may be scoring high aggregates, but what we want to look at is the proportion of those aggregates across the entire sector, meaning across the regions. Which region is doing well and which region is lacking behind, and what do we think as a sector we could do to help us improve on those regions. It's important that all of us look at those regions and work towards having them recalled. In my introduction, I spoke about the private public partnership. I think the data has shown that we have more private schools than public schools. So one should be interested to ask the question, what is the difference? The teachers in the public schools are all trained at the Gambia College then. The teachers in the private schools are also trained in the same Gambia College. But what is it that the private school is doing better that we are not doing better? That should be our interest as a sector. That should be our interest as managers of the education sector, so that we are able to look at those schools and say, this is what we are doing better. This is one of the motivations that we are calling for a meeting with the private sector, so that we do not need to go outside the Gambia or outside our environment, shall we? Outside our environment to look for these answers. The answers are already here. So we need to start working and interfacing with the private. That's the more reason, as one of the strategies that the ministry has employed this academic year, starting next week, is to mainstream the EI strategy into the public schools. And we are starting with 61 schools as a pilot across the country, but mainly in two regions, Region 3 and Region 5 North. The data in all aspects has indicated that Region 5 North is the most challenged region in terms of all the variables, even the recent census that is done. So what that is requiring us to do is to have more investment in that region. That's where we are piloting the EI strategy in those schools. Yes, there are a couple of public schools that are doing well. We also need to look at those public schools. What is the leadership, the management doing in those schools that the other schools are not doing? What are the teachers in those schools doing what the other teachers are not doing, to be able to make sure that we improve on this? So there is need for us to invest more to be able to get to the bottom of what we are doing and why we are doing what we are doing. That's one of the things that I wanted to share with you. But there is a second table that I would want you to look at. If we look at these tables on the board there, we should be able to see the regional dynamics, which is our interest, because we want to make education, we talk about equity all the time. Remember, we have access, we have quality education, we have equity. What we are interested or going to see here is how much are we doing in terms of equity. As we see these tables, you'll be able to see the boys and the girls, how they've been performing over the years and the regions. There are more students in Region 1. Greater Banjul alone accounts for at least 1/3 of the entire, 2/3 of the entire student population in the country. But we need to put that in proportion with the other data or the other number of students across the others. And if we do that, we should be able to see the regional dynamics. And there is still a region that continues to stand out, even though it has dropped in terms of achievements here. When Director Government was giving you the results, I don't know whether you observed that 2 regions have not scored aggregate 6. As managers, we should be asking ourselves why, what is responsible, to inform us on the kind of investment we need to do on those regions. But Region 4, as you could see, continues to do well. And I want to commend them on that. Constantly, they have been growing, except in 2023 where they have dropped. But over the years, Region 4 has always been constant in terms of its performance, not only on the core subjects, but generally as a region. Okay? So I thought I should share that with you so that you look at the different regional dynamics. Continue. On the core subject, as you can also see, constantly growth has been maintained in all the subjects, in some of the subjects, particularly SES. SES, as you can see, has been constant, 46.8%, 56.4%. Then it dropped for Region 3, 42. Then Region 4, constant, as you see, 51.5%, and it goes on and goes forward. So what we are trying to say in effect is generally the results have improved this year, but we still have seen that few regions, 2 regions in particular, need some concentration to be able to help them grow. And that one of the regions is Region 6. So I will challenge my colleagues, especially those in planning. That should be a focus for us. That should be an interest area for us. What is it that is happening in Region 6 that needed to be improved? What are we not doing well based on this results? Because it's indicating, so that we look at not only the Greater Banjul or the public schools in Banjul or in Greater Banjul, but also the public schools in the rural Gambia to work and achieve our equity propaganda or call. Maybe we would stop here and perhaps the others could come ask questions. I just wanted to bring those differences that are very peculiar in terms of regional dynamics. And then the females, of course, are continuing to edge the boys. Then that was suggesting that we need to pay attention to the boys so that they are not completely left out as we progress. This is movement to grade 10. If we do not work on this, ultimately, yes, I know transition rate to higher education, the boys are doing better, but ultimately, in the long run, we could be caught up. The reverse could be seen if we do not begin to work on the boys as the percentages continue to increase for the girls across the years that we have seen on the board. On that note, I want to thank you, and perhaps I hand over to the chair for me the next set of the next item.